Knicks and Bruises, episode 20. We are back. I got my guest today, Ron from the Still Knicks Fans podcast on YouTube. Check out his channel, Knicks and Bruises. I'll give you a quick rundown on what we do on my episodes. It's really about you, Ron. We're gonna highlight some of the Knicks, the small things that we've endured as Knicks fans over the years, and the bruises, some of those big things that were harder to take, harder to swallow. We talk about that, get your perspective, your Knicks, your bruises, and then we'll end it on a positive note, talking about the new regime, where we're at, where we're going, what we like. First off, thank you for joining me. Glad to get you on. Again, that's Ron from Still Knicks Fans podcast on YouTube. Check out his channel. Thanks for joining me, man. How you doing?
Yo, man, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been watching a lot of different podcasts recently, and yours is definitely one of those that I just started watching, and I'm getting familiar with it now. And I appreciate you breaking that down for me as to how you set it up, because when I was watching it, I watched I watched a lot of the ones where you have a bunch of people speaking, so it's like
Okay.
a different setup. So yeah, it's good for you to let me know that you have two different concepts, and that's really cool. So yeah, I
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yes. I appreciate you for joining me, and I'll get you on the regular panelist podcast for sure. But this the episode 20. And thank you for joining me. Um, and Knicks and Bruises, man. The floor is yours. You can go about it however you like. This platform is really about your perspective and your Knicks and Bruises. A lot of them will overlap. I'll hear some of the same things, of course, but some of them are going to be different because it's your personal perspective. So
Right.
yeah, the floor is yours. Knicks and Bruises. Here we go.
Okay. All right. Well, let me first start off by saying, once again, I appreciate you for having me here. My name is Ron. I'm from the Still Nick Fans podcast. My co-host John is not with me today. Maybe you'll see him in the future on here, or So, but
Hopefully.
yeah, we too share a podcast called Still Nick Fans, and basically we're just doing exactly what you're used to getting from Tony Crow here with Knicks and Bruises, and what he does with the Nothing But Knicks network. Just trying to talk about the fan perspective about New York Knicks, and why we love the team, and everything we go through, the goods and the bad. So, but that being said, if I'm thinking about I think I start off with my Knicks. Um,
Okay.
the- I don't really have too many crazy things that are small, because the things that bother me are the bruises, man. So I'm gonna let you know. Um, when it comes to the smaller things, I would say one of the things that really has bothered me and is more recent, is basically kind of what happened with the playoffs last year with the fans, and how they were kind of treating Atlanta. I think that was kind of like one of those things where, being a New York fan, um, and dealing with so much adversity and the stuff we've gone through, to finally get to the point where we've got a good team and we're playing in the playoffs against Atlanta, and that's how we're going to show ourselves or represent us as fans, and all the stuff that was going on and things that was said about Trey Young. Don't get me wrong, I do not like Trey Young. You know what? So I'm with the fans. He definitely can get up under your skin, but I just thought that was a little too much. The fans was wilding out in the Garden, but I appreciate the passion, but I wasn't really feeling that. So that's kind of like one of my nicks with the whole playoff situation, and how the fans were treating the opposing team. Um, but that being said, it was still a fun time. I appreciate the passion.
You know what? I love that. I love that take right there. Because I mean, just as a decent human being, right? You got to be a little disgusted by some of the things that went on in that environment.
Yeah.
At the Garden, and the way they treated him. I have no problem with the FU chants. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
that's normal fan stuff. But the spitting and some of the obscenities to family members and things like that, uncalled for, bad representation, especially with the direction of the culture and where we are, and where we're trying to go. So
right, right.
great take, man. Great take.
Yeah, yeah. I just like I said, I appreciate the passion. I just, what you don't want when you're a team that's struggling and has been bad for a certain number of years, and you're trying to like turn the culture around and get back to where you want to be, the promised land, at least to be a perennial playoff team and hopefully play for a championship. You don't want to be the back page story. Like that's not what you want the Knicks to be known for. You want the Knicks to be known for, busting other teams butts and showing that if you come into the Garden, you leaving with a tough time and most likely with an L. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man.
and,
But
and and at the same time, you gotta salute Young, because he took it like a champ and thrived off of it. You know what I
right,
mean?
and that's that. We known for that. New York is known for making stars. When they come to the Garden, if they rise up, you know what? We help create a lot of guys.
That's a
Yeah.
fact.
So I think that's probably one of the little nicks that has kind of bothered me a little bit. Another one that I think hurt, uh, but I'm not going to call it a bruise because I think was the whole Julius Randle kind of falling apart in the playoffs
Mm.
and not really handling himself the same way he handled himself throughout the regular season. I think he was kind of overwhelmed with the pressure and all of the eyes that were on him for becoming the man. He got a lot of accolades in the regular season for being most improved. He definitely did carry us. We wouldn't have been in the playoffs without him, but I just think that he he didn't go about handling it the best way possible. I think he kind of just felt like eventually he was going to get his and he was going to get out of it, but it just wasn't coming, and he didn't figure out other ways to help the team, which uh, could have helped us maybe get past Atlanta in that first series. But he just fell apart. The pressure got to him, so that was disappointing to me because I don't think it needed to be that. I don't think he needed to play that bad. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know Atlanta had a good game plan for him, and the fact that we didn't have any shooters to kind of help him out, he was getting doubled and at some points triple teamed. But I still think that there was better ways for him to kind of deal with what he had going on.
Yeah, yeah. That's again another nice take, and I agree. Um, one of the, I guess, nicks for me about that situation was he really didn't even have a standout game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like even the game we won, he wasn't himself.
right.
So yeah, I agree 100%. But that being said, total faith in Julius.
Yeah, no, no.
Total
Julius is
faith.
the
You know what I
man.
mean? The way he came back after year one, I expect that same thing. The only difference is we gotta wait until the playoffs for it really to be evaluated. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
don't really
yeah.
matter what he does in the regular season leading up. It's really gonna be about at least that very first round
Right.
this coming season. But again, good take, man.
Yo, man, listen, I just I've been a Nick fan for since probably 87, 88. I was around I think 12 or 13 years old. I'm dating myself, so I'm 40. Yeah, I'm in the 40s. So
As am
that
I.
that yeah, yeah, yeah. So I seen some stuff, and that's kind of one of those things that I really appreciate this team, and I know we can do some special things. This year's going to be great. So, but yeah, man, I don't really I could say those are the two things that kind of like bother me a little bit that affected me. But I think I got a lot more bruises than Knicks, man. I think my bruises, I could go on for days, bro. um, Can I go into one
Yeah,
of my
yeah.
bruises?
You can.
Because
The
it
floor is
never
yours,
gets
my
old.
brother.
It never gets old, bro.
The floor is yours. Oh, I'm interested to hear these, man. Honestly. So
Yo,
yeah.
I I to this day, I'm never gonna stop thinking about the the Houston series and John Starks going 2 for 18 and OJ coming on my screen in the white Bronco. That I feel like that changed my whole Nick life, man. I feel like everything was going a certain way, and that whole moment kind of defined the Knicks for the next 20 some odd years. Like I I can never live like I can't live that down, man. It's always there. And don't get me wrong, John Starks is my man. Like he was my favorite Knick player of all time. And to witness him go through that, and then with the whole OJ thing, it was just too
Yeah.
much. It's too
Yeah.
much, man.
So I'm in the same age. First off, I'm sorry. Let me shout out some people in the chat because I always forget to. So Sergeant, G Man for life, my guy, salute. Um Canal, salute. Quiet Money, salute. Geraldine, salute. Who else we got in here? Stephadon, salute. I don't think I'm forgetting anybody. Love you guys. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. Um, yeah, I'm in that same age range as you, man. So I remember that vividly. It was on my list of bruises as well. Um, I wasn't into football at all, so
Mm,
I knew who OJ was, but
hmm.
I just knew he was a good player. You know what I mean? Like
Right, right.
because I knew who he was, that meant he was good. Because I didn't really know anything about football too much, names of the teams
Hmm.
and things like that. But it was so upsetting to me, and I don't know exactly how old I was, but I remember just being upset because I'm like, yo, it's on every channel. Why are you stopping the Nick game? Like literally, people could go to any other channel to get this news. You know what I mean? And
Yo, it's
I
crazy.
couldn't understand it. It was just so upsetting to me. Like why would you do this? And we won that game, right? I believe we won that game. We just didn't get to see us win that game. Which was even more unfortunate because moving forward we didn't win. But yeah, that definitely was a scarring moment.
I
First time we in the finals or whatever.
Yeah, I think that changed everything, man. I think I don't. There's no way that it even connects because it's not like the Knicks was on the court like, yo, OJ's out there in the Bronco. Like it's just one of those things. Like I feel like it changed everything, man. Like as Knick fans, we trying to watch the game, and then this dude out here on every screen. I feel like it's just like a bad omen. It was horrible, horrible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the one that just never goes away. Um, and
Is that your first like bruised as a Knicks fan?
that
Like you know what I
was,
mean? Like or was there something that happened prior to that?
I think that if I'm not mistaken, I think that happened. I think that happened first, but I could be wrong because the other big bruise that I never forget and it's kind of stayed with me is the Charles Smith one. Charles Smith, uh, uh, like that that one hurt because not only was it a moment where he got stopped that affected our team, but it was a laughable moment. We became a laughing stock after that. Like, and I never lived that down. I even seen Charles Smith on the train one day, and I had a look of disgust when I saw him. I was like, "Come on, man!" It,
You're
it
not the
just, it,
only one.
yeah,
I can't remember who, but someone else on my channel basically had a story about meeting Charles Smith and their exchange. So
oh,
I could only imagine what he went through.
yeah, man. I mean, as I gotten older, I feel bad for the guy, and I know what things happen. Yeah, could he have tried to do something different? Of course, I'm sure he would have loved to try to get the ball up, but it just it wasn't in the cards, man. Things just happen, man. I don't know, but that was a bad one, man. That had me thinking, damn, am I going to deal with you know my whole, NBA fandom, watching this team go through this stuff because it was getting bad. I was like, I don't know, this might not be the team for me. But then I grew up. I said, nah, Knicks are my team for life.
It's funny because we didn't even understand or realize that those bruises end up being the good old days.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a fact. That's a fact. That is so true. Because those Knicks teams were great. When you think about what we dealt with since then, yeah, I'd give anything to get those Knicks teams back. That's true. It's a good point. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I like those are kind of like the defining moments for me when I think about being a Knicks fan. I'm hoping that now that we have new life on these teams, and they can create new moments, that all that stuff gets washed away. I don't think about that no more. That'll be like a footnote, you know. But we'll see what happens, because something about being a New York fan, you're going to experience some crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's for sure. Um, so moving forward. Well, did you have any more bruises that you wanted to discuss, or
I mean, that was pretty much it. Those were kind of like
those are
the
the big
ones
ones?
that really bothered me, as a fan.
All right. Before we get right into the the current team and current Knicks talk, I got a few questions f- from that golden era, where we had these bruises,
Right.
and then moving forward into more recent times. I'm gonna just hit you with a couple of questions, and you give me your perspective on how you felt about the situations. So initial thoughts on Phil Jackson coming in.
Honestly, at first, when they said Phil was going to be, I guess the term was what, president of basketball operations, I was like, I don't know, because I'm only used to Phil being a coach, and I'm not. I guess at first I was like, okay, maybe this could work, but then I'm also thinking, you know what, this is not what the Knicks need. Like, they need a coach on the sidelines who can change the culture, and I don't know if you can do that from the GM spot. So I wasn't sure about it. I was happy though, because I was thinking, all right, if anybody can get through to, because around this time, Dolan was kind of still running wild with the team. So if I was like, if anybody can get through to this guy who he respects, it's got to be Phil Jackson. So maybe we can turn this thing around. So that's what I was thinking.
You had faith initially.
Right.
All right. Phil Jackson era.
I mean, the Phil Jackson era is incredible. I give him, a lot of props and respect for what he did with, those Laker teams, what he did with the Bulls teams, especially. Um,
All right.
a
My
little,
bad. My bad.
yeah.
Phil Jackson Knicks era.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, Phil Jackson Nick era. When you actually look back at it now, terrible. Terrible. It wasn't anything like what I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be something totally different, and it definitely wasn't.
Did I get that?
Excuse me. Sorry.
No, no, no. You good? But you guys step away for a sec.
Yeah, yeah.
Go
Two
ahead.
seconds. Two
Go
seconds.
ahead.
All right.
You all good? I can shout out the chat. Um, yeah. Anybody who actually wants to be a guest, hit me on Twitter. Just search hashtag Yo Black is Time. You'll find me, and we can set something up. Episodes on Mondays and Wednesdays, so I'll work around your schedule, but you just got to be a Monday or Wednesday. You can do it anytime you guys are free. So, yeah, definitely looking for new guests. I'm looking for new perspectives. I'm looking for an older Knicks fan who may have witnessed one of our championships, just so I could pick your brain about that. Um, Speaking of that, shout out to Boost Mobile. I gotta get you on Boost. Whenever you're ready. All right. Ron's
All
back.
right.
What's going on?
Sorry,
Now you
sorry
good.
about that. I apologize.
Duty's cold, man. I know how it is.
Yeah, man, just bad timing. Um, yeah. So I think the Phil Jackson Nick era just it's really disappointing when you look back at it because it could have been something a lot better. It just turned out to be something I wish that it would have been a little different. I mean, I like the fact that when he was coming in with Porzingis and bringing in Frenchie, and I thought maybe he was finding something that we weren't able to experience in quite some time. But when you think about the problem is he came in wanting to bring something new, some new energy to the team, but then he came in with an old school philosophy, and this is a new NBA, and that I think those two things didn't mix well.
No, I hear you. Um, Kristaps Porzingis trade.
I'm sorry.
Kristaps Porzingis trade.
Um,
And if you want, you could do initial reaction, and then I don't know if your perspective changed at all, or you felt the same way throughout. But however, however,
when I heard about it, I was shocked because I was at work. I was like, "What? They traded Porzingis? What the hell happened? For what?" I was shocked and I was upset for a minute. And I said, "What happened?" But then as I started looking into everything, I was like, "Oh, okay. There's some other stuff going on with this cat. There's some stuff that we ain't supposed to know." I was like, "Cause this didn't make any sense to me. Like, how do you get rid of somebody you draft with the fourth pick overall? He's the unicorn. You building the team around him basically, and now you just all of a sudden decide to trade him. And then who they was getting back, I was like, come on, man. I wasn't feeling this. I was like, I don't know about this one. Uh, so I then, but once I read into it, I was like, okay, there was a lot of underlying things that they just wasn't putting up with anymore. Okay, because you don't just make a trade like that and give up somebody like that for who you getting back, even though they got picks, which is great. But come on, man. I don't know.
all right. The Stephon Marbury's exit.
Oh, wow, that was bad. That was
I'm,
bad.
I'm I'm bringing up some sore spots for me just to see how you felt about it.
Yo, that was bad. Oh, that bad. And it was surprising. I think that's one of those things where Marbury is such a Brooklyn, New York type of dude, and New York being his hometown team, and what he wanted and how everything was supposed to be. I feel bad for him because I know it wasn't what he expected because he thought like this is like it's almost like Derrick Rose playing for the Bulls. Like it was one of those things. And he never got I don't Knicks didn't have the right coaching staff or the right people to cultivate Marbury when he was a Knick. We could have got so much more out of him. And because of that, it was just a bad marriage and it wound up being really bad on his exit. Like it wasn't a good look.
You know what pissed me off more than anything about that. I felt like if D'Antoni wasn't so stubborn
Mm-hmm.
and he was honest when he said, clean slate passes in the past,
Right.
and
Right.
just and actually gave him a fair shot. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Even if you didn't want to start the man, you know what I mean? And that's what it was. But gave him a fair shot to play a role.
Yeah.
I think we would have took off. I think we would have took off because I think at that particular moment, I think Steph had finally reached a point of growth, and I say that like growth as a man. You know what I mean? Not on a
Mm-hmm.
basketball court, but as a
Mm-hmm.
person. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like he endured so much just prior to that. You know what I mean? Like with his pops passing,
Yeah.
the Vaseline and all that funny stuff. The Isaiah trial. Um,
Hmm.
like think about all the things that he went through here, and
Damn.
I mean, if you've really followed the guy at the time, you could see he was a different person in general. Like outside of basketball, he was a different person coming into that year,
Right.
and for you to have all that turmoil, endure it, and then reach a point of growth as a person. I was ready for that to to take off, and I won't get into the details, but how he was treated, and ultimately in my mind, D'Antoni's treatment of him, um that was so horrible, like it to the point where I didn't like D'Antoni from then on. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
it
Yeah. No,
even
I get that.
and then he did more messed up things as later on like his treatment with Carmelo, same type situation. um he might have learned a little bit from him and didn't, he ain't sit him, but yeah.
Mm. Yeah. That's a listen. Nick's got a lot of bad things, man. Bad looks happen. That was another bad one, and it was a
Yeah.
shame, man, because Marbury could have really he could have took this city and set it on fire with the Knicks, man.
All right. I'm gonna end the bruises there because every time I do, I start getting these reliving these memories and getting emotional and sad. So I got to bring my spirit back up. We're gonna talk about this the new roster, the new regime. You know, we could talk about last year if you want a little bit. But I mean, I'm looking forward to this coming up season. So up to you if you want to start with last year, or we could just go right to what we expect coming up.
Yeah, no, actually, I think I wouldn't mind talking about last year because I think last year was you know it's kind of like the foundation. The blueprint is being built by what they got going on right now, and everything started from last year. So I think not only is it good to keep last year in mind about what we did, as a team, but the other thing is to also kind of understand the expectations and kind of temper things a little bit because Knicks did, I think some media avenues like CBS Sports and NBC and ESPN, they had the Knicks winning less than 20 games. One
Mhm.
one had them winning like 18 games, one had them winning 26 games. And we showed, that the team has a lot going on, and Thibodeau changed the whole culture around and made them a strong defensive team. And we wound up winning 41 games and becoming a fourth seed. So I think that's this is going to be that's the benchmark year for where the team can is had turned everything around. But you also got to look at it and say, okay, 41 games, fourth seed in the playoffs, we got knocked out in the first round. Okay, but we got a little taste, but we're not a championship team yet. And so I like to point to that season because a lot of Knick fans be jumping out the window.
Mhm.
I have my moments, but I'm not going to say just because we won 41 games that all of a sudden we the best thing smoking. It's going to take some time. We still got to develop these young guys that we got on our team. We got guys that we still haven't seen the best of yet. Like we
Mhm.
don't know what Mitchell Robinson is really yet. We
Mhm.
know what he showed us little glimpses of, but the fact that he doesn't stay healthy, like if we get a healthy Mitch, then we will see something special. Believe me when I tell you, it's going to change the whole outlook of the Knicks. So I think last year is kind of like a good place to start and understand that this was the year that changed everything for us. And this might be the year that we get on our run. Like we might have successive years where we're a
Mhm.
perennial playoff team.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as much as we overachieved, I think it was also I don't think we regressed. I think it was a great starting point. You know what I mean? A great floor, if you will. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think uh, so. When I say, because we was in the basement, you know what I mean? We was at the bottom. We was under the house. You know what I
Facts.
mean? So I didn't think we was gonna reach a floor that quick. So when I say we overachieved, you know what I mean. I really, I thought we would be play in material.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, I mean not seventh or eighth seed playing material, but
Right.
eighth or ninth seed. I mean ninth or 10th seed playoff play in material. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that being said, we reached the floor. I don't think we dropped below that. And when I say that, I don't mean drop below fourth seed. I just mean like the production, the structure, the
Right.
chemistry, the culture. You know what I mean? Like we set a bar. We're not going below that bar. It's only here or up. Um, One of the beautiful things about it was Julius Randle really did carry us. You know what I mean? So to your
Mm-hmm.
point, if guys just go off of a normal upward trajectory, Mitchell Robinson, uh, if he just stays healthy, that's a plus. If he
Right.
stays healthy and improves, you know what I mean, and shows growth, oh my gosh, RJ, if he shows the growth, even if it's the same amount of growth that he did from year one to year two, if he does that
Mm-hmm.
same amount of growth from year two to year three, we looking good.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a
I'm
fact.
laughing because
Yeah.
Kanal said Randall made me eat crow. He made a lot. He made a lot of people eat their words. I would
Yeah.
definitely say that he changed a lot of people's minds. Um, but like you said, we haven't seen. I don't think we've even seen the best of Randall yet. But he don't. You know what I mean? He doesn't necessarily have to improve if he sustains that level.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If that was his prime last year, and he just sustains that for a 4 or 5 year window, I think that's great. But I also believe he's going to improve. Um, and then we got like the rookies who or Emmanuel who kind of showed out as a rookie, came in and jumped his projections. You know what I mean? So if he just does a normal growth, I think Obi's going to take a big step as well. But again, floor is yours. Continue.
Well, yeah. So I mean, I think that that's kind of the best way to look at last year and what we can take from it. But this year, man, this year I'm like extremely excited. I can't. I think they said basketball is maybe about 32, 33 days away. I can't wait, man. I'm counting these days that I can't. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm waiting for training camp. I just want to see these guys out there practicing, and I want to see that first preseason game because I want to see. I think that'll be a real good chance for us to really see everybody there because obviously, um, when regular season happens, there's going to be some people that either won't be playing or they'll be sent to the G League and they'll be working on some other things. So I want to see the preseason definitely to see all our guys out there and see how they play, against other NBA competition. But I'll tell
Yeah,
you one thing: these young guys, man, I can't stop, bro. Like I'm so excited that we got Deuce. I'm so excited that we got Quentin Grimes, and I'm really happy about what we saw from Obi in the summer league. I think this is I know when there's like Obi's like a love and hate, man. There's people
hmm
who want Obi to do well, but they still like I don't know about Obi, and I get it, I get it,
I
but
mean, he's got fans out there. I think he has more fans than haters. You know
mhm,
what I mean? I hate the narrative that he's not going to be able to grow playing behind Randall. I absolutely hate that narrative though. I will say that I think first of all, cream rises to the top. You
mhm,
know what I mean? So if he's got it and he's gonna reach his max potential, I don't think Julius is gonna stop that. I think if anything, he'll probably make it come quicker. You know what I mean? Who's he going against every day in, day night, day out in practice? You know what I
right.
mean? That's steel sharpens steel. So
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think you know, one of the biggest things with Obi is that we haven't used Obi right. So Obi hasn't done himself any favors either, because
mhm.
for the most part of the regular season last year, Obi was not playing good basketball. Let's just call it what it is. And it seemed like he was overwhelmed, and we were all looking at like, look at this 23, 24-year old looking
Mhm.
like a rookie. Like, even though technically
He
he's a
is a
rookie, but
rookie.
he's an older rookie. Like, he should be more polished, more seasoned.
I mean,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, you see, like a good example is if you just look at the summer league. I know the summer league is different because it's not NBA players, but um, look at some of the guys that are in the summer league that are older, that are maybe 23, around 24. You see how they play. They command the stage, like they know what they're doing. You just they going and getting theirs. And in fairness, you got to see Obi, and Obi was doing his thing too. So maybe it's just one of those where he didn't have a chance to really, lock in to understanding what he can do on the court yet. And he was
Hmm.
so under so much pressure from Thibodeau that like he just didn't want to do anything wrong. And when you play like that, when you play timid, that don't help your
That,
game.
that was exactly what it. That was 100% what it was. And you know what's funny? You know who I think has that same exact problem? Kevin
Who?
Knox. Kevin
Yes,
Knox.
sir.
Same exact problem. He's not playing free. He's not just playing basketball. He's scared. He's nervous. Not of the player on the other side, not on who's guarding him or who he has to guard. He's scared of making mistakes. Um and it progressively got worse uh season after season, coach after coach.
Mm,
And I think if I was to say like the who's under the most pressure, top three players or people on the Knicks under the most pressure, he's in the top five. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I could argue he's one because he's playing right now for his career, not for a contract. Everybody
Mm,
talks about contract year, contract year. This is a career year for him in the sense that he might not be in the league if he doesn't show what he's capable of,
right.
what he's able to do. I mean, he does have youth on his side, but if there's one thing we've noticed or seen in this today's NBA is you got to take advantage of your opportunities. You might not get one. You might not get a second one. You know
That's
what I
a
mean?
fact. That's a fact.
Or you may have to go play overseas or somewhere else before you get a second one, and even that's tough.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think, listen, what you're saying about Knox is definitely true. Sometimes he be looking like he's a deer in headlights, man. I don't know. I don't know. And this is one of those things like, you hate when sometimes when the critics are right. Because when Knox was getting, doing his warm ups, his team warm ups, and he was about to get drafted, one of the biggest things they kept saying about him was his motor. Like, does he have the motor for the NBA? Can he be that type of player that is going to go out there and get it when you need it, or go take it? If he wants to take it and take over the game. I don't know, man. Maybe they were right about him, but they also said the same thing about a guy like Paul George, and Paul George turned out to be a really good NBA player. Yeah, maybe he's not that A1 star that he looks like he should be, but he's definitely a very good NBA player. So
yeah, yeah. The one thing with Paul George is he had defense from the beginning. You know what I
right,
mean? Like
right,
he could have had a 10-year career off of defense alone, and just being a adequate offensive player. Um, I still have some faith in Knox, and I'll tell you why. If you look at we don't have another player like Knox on the team
mm-hmm.
in the sense of long, lanky, um shooter, just his body type. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right,
we don't have that. So if he can put it all together, he can be a valuable piece. Um, the one thing that I think this is for a lot of young players, man, or a lot of players in general, especially under Tibbs. If you just focus on defense, and it does when you focus on defense, you don't have to be a lockdown defender. You just have to use your IQ. You know what I mean? You
Mhm.
be in the right spot, make a shot difficult, and don't foul. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
those are the
Right.
main things. Because 9 out of 10 guys are gonna score in the NBA anyway. You know what I mean? Just make it difficult.
Right.
Or make it look difficult. You know what I mean? It may not be difficult for that player, but if you there in your hands, that looked like a tough shot. You know what I mean? Make it look like a tough shot for him,
Yeah.
and I
No, you're
think
right.
everything else will just fall into place. Um,
Yeah. Good point.
what is Knox good at?
Yeah.
Hey man, shooting.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
nothing else, if
When
nothing
Knox is
else.
flowing, when his shot is going right, Knox could be he could be something special, man. Look. You know how quickly time happens. Like you start forgetting what took place. Knox lit it up in the summer league, right? We went into the regular season, and when that team was still finding itself, and we didn't really have much like people were just running around. Julius was doing whatever he wanted. Like there was no structure. Knox had some good games in the beginning because he could just do whatever. They gave him the ball. He got hot. Oh, you missed a shot. Okay, we'll give the ball back to you again.
Get
Like he
another
could
one.
just do whatever. But now, when you're playing with a coach who has a system, trying to create a defensive culture and also giving you some offensive principles to live by, you have to work in a structured way. This is when you start to see some of his flaws, where he can't just go do whatever and figure it out. He's got to figure it out within the system, and this is where he's struggling. Plus, we all know that Knox is not the greatest defender. He
Yeah.
if he played defense, this could be a whole different conversation. But he's just not that way right now. So I mean, I hope that something changes, turns around for him because my co-host John always says, yo, and this is something we hear playing basketball all the time. You can't teach height. Like when
Mm-hmm.
you got it, and it's
Mm-hmm.
something that it's something that you can't always find. And a guy of his, he's like our own Kevin Durant, but we're not getting that Kevin Durant, that Kevin
be
Durant play.
be careful using those comparison
Yeah.
on this channel. That
Well,
the,
don't get me wrong. I do not
the
like Kevin Durant. I'm gonna give you a quick little thing. I'm gonna tell you right now. If there's one player that I despise in the NBA, it's
Mm.
Kevin Durant. I cannot, I can't do it.
it's
There's
it's
something about
it's
him.
it's
He
always
can't
been
do
that way.
it has ever since he decided to leave OKC and go to Golden State. It's something changed, and I looked at him differently from that day. And then, of course, I said, maybe he was just at a point where he wanted to get out of OKC, and they came calling, and it was just one of those an opportunity, not oh I'm going to leave OKC and join the team that beat me because if you can't beat them, join them. But I gave him the benefit of the doubt. But then with just the way he plays, his cockiness, the way his burner account, this dude jumping ship and going to the war, it's just his character is not my cup of tea, man. He ain't. I'm glad he didn't come to the Knicks. And the fact that he said I was never looking to come to the Knicks. Like, come
Mm-hmm.
on, man. Yeah, that dude, he's rotten.
I am Gerald. He's not even Kevin Duckworth.
Oh
Salute,
man,
Gerald.
Kevin Duckworth. Wow. Damn.
Oh man. Um, what are your I know you're impressed with the rookies. So there's this take that I've been running around with for like the last couple of weeks. Um, so I'm interested in your perspective on it. I don't think those guys get minutes. See the floor. Um, unless it's spot minutes, it's blowout minutes. And when I say blowout, like most likely we gotta be getting blown out because if
Mm,
if if it's anything like last year, I mean we fought to the end, You know what I mean? And when we were down, I mean when we were up, and Tibbs cleared the bench, he always ended up putting us right back in. Like if a
Right.
20-point lead got down to 16, after that one time that we lost the game, we blew a game with, you know what I mean? He don't play. We
Yep.
we we give up 4 points on a 20-point lead. Nope, start us back in. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
Yeah, you're
so,
right. That's
so
a fact.
so
Yep.
he's not trying to give away any games. But my the thing I've been saying is it's actually a good thing, and it's a situation we haven't been in years where our rookies could actually just be rookies. You know what I mean? They don't have to
Hmm.
come in and be thrown into the fire or playing pressure moments and
Right.
um or even evaluated as whether they're gonna be great or good or bust, or you know what I mean. Like we could really just let these guys grow into who they're gonna become,
Right.
because there's so many
Yeah.
vets and seasoned players ahead of them.
Hmm.
And I love it. You know what I mean? Like, do I want to see them play? Sure. But I don't want them necessarily. I don't want to hear any talks about, not developing, and you know what I mean. Like, um,
Hmm.
they need 20 minutes or 15 minutes. If they're gonna get it, they're gonna earn it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Especially under Tibbs and with the cast of players we have right now. So I think that's just a great situation that we're in, where our rookies can really just be rookies and not have to be vets. You know what I mean? Not have to be relied upon to do what they're gonna end up doing or becoming 5, 6, 7 years down the line.
No, yeah, that is a good take, and I think you're right, and there's no way around it because we know how Thibodeau runs his teams. Them young guys are not going to play unless there's a definite need. We're talking injury. You're right, maybe blowout. It's going to have to be one of them situations because that's the reason. Excuse me, I'm coming to notice that the reason why Thibodeau does, because he doesn't get a lot of credit for this, but I mean, there are some people that pointed out Thibodeau does cultivate guys. He does make guys better. I mean, he did, great things for Jimmy Butler, and there's other guys in the league. Carl Anthony Towns had one of his better years under Thibodeau. Say
Mm-hmm.
what you will about the team itself, they had some issues, but the star players, the guys he focuses on, they get better. So being the case, it's the same thing with these Knicks. Like he's already seen how good Julius Randle had his season last year under him. He sees the potential in quickly, which is the reason why he wanted to give him the point guard reins in the summer league to try to see what he can do with his game. And same thing with making sure that Obi's out there and they're getting the ball to Obi and Obi can start working on things. So these guys who already kind of been paying their dues and played last year, they're going to get every shot in the world to try to get better this year and to become big parts of the team. And then let's not even talk about the guys he's not worried about, the Roses and the Kimbas of the world, Evan Fournier. Like there's I agree with you. I don't think these young guys are going to be playing too much. Like the rooks are going to have to rook it out on the bench, man. They're going to have to get their Theo Pinson on. So it's going to be tough. But yeah, and it's actually a good thing. And hopefully that God forbid everything goes good with this COVID situation. I hope the G League is up and running,
Yeah.
and he sends Deuce and Grimes, and even if I don't think Obi so much because I think Obi's going to be up and playing with the team, but even Knox or whoever, they sends them down so they can stay fresh and get some playing time and do things. Even if Vildoza stays with the team, then Vildoza, go down there and play with the guys, do your thing, feel comfortable, and come back up to the NBA, and we'll figure out how to use you because I'm still not sure about what they're going to do with him either. So,
Yeah, I think he's out. I think he's out. I
mhm.
mean, me personally, I haven't seen obviously a lot of him, but just looking at our status with
Right,
the point guard situation and drafting McBride, I think the smart move is to waive him and sign Sims to a regular contract. rather than a two-way contract.
Mm-hmm.
I also think our highest draft player this year probably is least likely to get an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, looking at knock on wood, Mitch's injury history,
Mm-hmm.
our center depth, and just what he's able to do off of not even fundamentals, but athleticism and things of that nature. I think he's more likely to be able to come in and fill a role if
Right.
if needed. And then the same thing can be said with the point guard position, even though I think we're deep at it, with
Mm-hmm.
Rose and Walker both have an injury history, if you want to say that, you know what I mean, or I wouldn't even mind if they did do load management just to sustain both of these guys and have them available for the playoffs. But I could see McBride getting some spot minutes more so than Grimes, just because we're even deeper at the two than at
Mm-hmm.
the that at the one,
Right.
especially with people able to play multiple positions. Um, Fournier, RJ both can play the two.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly, I think he's more suited at the two than the one, but obviously we see he could play both. Um, Burks also, I think he's more of a two than a three, but he's going to get majority of his minutes at the three,
Right.
and you know what I mean. So yeah, I just think it's going to be real hard for Grimes to to see the floor, and it's more likely that those other two guys see it before him.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm thinking the same thing. And if there's between the two of them, because I think Sims is he's on the two way anyway, so he can only play 50 games.
Hmm.
So most likely he's going to start off in the G League. But between the two of them, Grimes and McBride, I think we might see a little bit more of McBride. Just it's something about his defensive ability, and when we play some of these young teams with young point guards, which no knock on Derrick Rose because he still has good speed and he can still hang, but some of these guys are young and fast, and he was having some tough times himself last year,
Hmm.
and that's him being one of the faster guys in the league still.
Yeah.
So I think you need to have a guy like Deuce on the bench. So, if you got somebody like Trey out there and Trey's starting to run a little wild, send Deuce at him a little bit, get him a little different taste. So that's
Yeah.
that's a good a problem to have.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's gonna be hard for him too. We've seen Burks run some point last year. We've seen RJ run the offense sometimes last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think obviously Walker's gonna have way more minutes per game than Peyton ended up having, even though Peyton started. Um, and then Rose as well, and then RJ. I mean, excuse me, Randall was, you know what I mean, lead facilitator, damn near point forward at times as well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and
Right.
that all being said, I think it's gonna be tough for McBride as well. I just think, like you said, he has that niche where even if you want him to come in for 5 minutes and just be a disruptor, just be an annoyance, you know what I mean?
Right.
Guard this guy from inbound, you know what I mean, to whatever he does. Just that's all you gotta do is annoy the hell out of him. Make
Yeah.
him want to push you to the ground or get an offensive foul or something. Um, so I think he has that niche. And that being said, McBride, Grimes' defense was pretty good this in summer league. You know what I mean?
No, it was solid.
Like I don't know if he's gonna be locked down, but pretty good. Um, anything else you want to touch on? Any bold predictions on the season? Do you think we can make the fourth seed again? How about that question?
Uh, about 2 weeks ago, I would have said no. 2 weeks, I was thinking that we were more like a fifth or sixth seed, and I say that with the utmost respect to this Nick team because I think this Nick team can still be a team that wins around 50 games. and be a fifth or sixth seed because of how good the East has become. Like this ain't your same old East where you got the East and then you got the real league in the West. The East is looking good, and there's some powerhouses that are there: Milwaukee, Brooklyn, but with the fact that the Celtics kind of are taking a little bit of a step back, the Sixers are having some infighting issues going on over there. Because if everything was right with the Sixers, then I think that would be another problem. They're number 3 on my list of teams we have a problem with. But the fact that they don't know what they're doing, they got guys who want to get out. You got Embiid, who's always tricky. You don't ever know what he's thinking.
He
I
might
think the
play 50
Sixers,
games.
right? I think the Sixers are going to have a rough year, and I think we're going to take advantage of that. So that being said, and I think we're better than Atlanta, even though they were better than us last year, and obviously we took them for granted. Nate McMillan turned that team around. So, but this year I think we're better than them, and I think we definitely can get back to being the 4th seed.
So you got Milwaukee, you got the Nets, Milwaukee, the Heat.
I got the Heat. Yeah, exactly. I got the Heat. And I got the 76ers maybe coming in around 5th spot,
4 or
maybe
5.
6th. Yeah, because I don't know what they got too much going on with themselves, and I think the Knicks can capitalize on that and move up.
So you think we could hit the 3rd seed, or are you saying?
No, I'm thinking 4th, because I do think there's something about that Miami Heat team. That Miami Heat team always gave us problems, and now, it looks like they may be a little better. I don't know.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I'm
you
not
never
too
know.
sure either.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of times, like, what were you saying? A lot of times, what?
I was gonna say sometimes you have something good, right? But it gets a little stagnant, and so you want to change it up. But then when you change it up and bring in what you think might be a better piece, changes the chemistry. You guys had a mix that was working, and so you never know. I don't know what's gonna happen with that team. Oh man, emergency alerts is going off.
Oh, where you at? Where you based at?
I'm in Brooklyn in Williamsburg.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So yeah, see,
718. I'm
you
from
know.
the Bronx, so.
Oh, okay. BX in the house.
For sure. I'm upstate Utica right now, but I'm from the Bronx.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Yeah, what was he saying? I got thrown off.
Oh, we're just talking about the chemistry with Miami. Maybe
Agreed.
not being as good as they.
That's a great point. Yeah, I tend to feel that way, but when I voice it, outside of to myself, a lot of people give me flack on it. I'm just saying it could go either way with them. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks these moves make them 100% better. And granted, Lowry was the guy that I wanted. But I wanted it knowing that it was a risk too. You know what I mean? With his age, he's not a dominant. He actually fits Miami perfectly, more so than us. You know what I mean? Like it's like Butler when people questioned, is he really a superstar? I mean, you could do that with Larry as well. But the thing those guys got is heart and determination and will, and fight. You know what I mean? Like they probably working harder than the superstars.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or the potential superstars. I think the superstars are that because of how much they work. But they work just as hard as those guys, which puts them on that borderline level. And I respect them, but I also know it could go either way. They could have a year similar to this past year, where conceivably they underachieved.
You never know what you're gonna get. The NBA is a funny thing, man. Any team could beat any team on any given night. And whatever you think your season outcome is going to be, it can change in an instant. So we don't know what's going to happen with that team. But I will say, if Lowry plays like what we're used to with Lowry, they could be tough because his gritty defense with Butler and what they already got going on over there, the way they play defense, they could be a problem. But we'll see. I'm not, like I said, I'm not worried about them. Good point.
You know what I mean? I think they have potentially one of the probably the best starting fives. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I don't know how deep their bench and then their third lineup is.
Right.
Um, you had mentioned a few minutes ago the two guys we signed this offseason, Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier. Um, before I get to actually those two guys, initial thoughts 24 hours into free agency.
Oh, I was, I didn't want to have that whole same old Knicks thing, but I was like, yo, wait. So we've been holding on to money all this time. We trying to build this team. All these dudes is going. Like the guys is re-signing with their teams. They staying put. Other guys is jumping ship. They like we were on their radar, and all of a sudden, Lonzo just jumped. He was like, all of a sudden he's going to the Bulls. Like I didn't even know where did the Bulls come from with Lonzo. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy with that because you know what? Maybe he didn't want the pressure of New York. And if that's the case, then we
Yeah,
don't want him
we don't
here.
want to. Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's fine. But like certain things like that, I was like, come on, man. I just I was getting a little worried. But to be honest with you, when you kind of take a step back and look at the team that we have in front of us and look at the guys that we felt like we were desperate for, I don't know if any of those moves would have been the right move. Like going after Lowry, if Chris Paul would have wanted to come here, I don't know if these were the right things that we needed to do for this team right now. So I'm happy with the way things turned out. And this
Mm-hmm.
Kimba thing is, when we get to it, but I'm just saying, like, mm, nah, it worked out great.
Agreed. Agreed. I tell you, same thing with me, man. 24 hours in, I'm getting nervous. So I'm like, all right, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like we not getting nobody. It like the narrative is gonna pop back up on, you know what I mean? Like on ESPN. I mean, I could deal with anything, but I used to like ESPN. You know what I mean? I used to enjoy watching it or any sports channel. But when the narratives was just repeated negativity about the Knicks, it's like, all right, I'm not watching this. You know what I mean? Like, why I'm gonna watch this? So I'm like, all right, here
Yeah.
comes the narrative again. Nobody wants to come here.
Yep.
This, and that. But when we got Fournier, I'm like, all right, you know, nice. It's definitely an upgrade. And even coming in, all I wanted was an upgrade. You know what I mean? Like if we're losing guys, the guys we're bringing in, I want to. That's how I'm gonna look at it. Is he better than him? Is he better than him? Is he better than him? All right, we upgraded. You know what I mean? But the more we start re-signing our own players, I ain't gonna lie, I liked it. I liked the moves. I said,
Hmm.
I even liked the amount of money. Like I thought basically what we were doing was rewarding success.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So initially we re-signed Scott Perry,
Yep.
right? Then
Right.
then we go into free agency and we're resigning our own players.
Hmm.
Um then we get Fournier. Then we hear about Bullock. Um and I ain't gonna front, I'm worried because we didn't get a point guard and automatically, in my mind, I'm like, man, 35 minutes a night for Rose. I don't want that. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
he's not gonna be 100%
Right.
or have the energy at when we get to the playoffs. So I was worried about that, but then I'm like, I'm thinking no disrespect to Peyton, but I'm thinking we bring in any guard, you know what I mean? It's probably gonna be an upgrade. You know what I mean? From Peyton.
That's
At
true.
least it's some aspect of his game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So but I'm like, man, they really rewarding the guys for their success. You know what I
Right.
mean? They're rewarding their efforts from last year. And re-signed Julius Randle or extended Julius Randle. So it started becoming a trend. And I'm like, you know what? This is good for the culture. At the
Hmm.
very least, you know what I mean? Like we're giving ourselves a window, which ultimately I think is like 2 years now, a 2 year window where if things aren't working out, we have player options coming along for each of these guys we re-sign.
Right.
So now we see the window, we see the rewarding of the success. We know exactly how long we have to like work with this group. It's
Hmm.
chemistry. We're taking questions away. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully we re-sign Mitch because I think that's the last question. We extend Mitch this offseason. There's no questions coming into this offseason about where we're going, what, what's the direction. Do we gotta pay? How much we gotta pay this guy? Are we gonna resign? You know what I mean? Like, all that is out the
Right.
window. It's
Right.
really about tunnel vision. Let's focus on this team. 2 years. How much can we grow? How deep can we go? You know what I mean? So I'm like, I love it, man. I love the off season. I think it's really, really showing something, even on the outside looking in. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if I come here and do well, they're gonna reward me. They're gonna take care of me. So now I can come here on a prove it contract. You know what I mean? I can come here on a 1-and-1, and as long as I do my part, they're gonna do their part at the end. So it's changing the narrative, even for players. I think out there.
You nailed it, man. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, you know what? How do you let these guys around the NBA and the league itself know that you come to New York, you do what you got to do, you get rewarded. This is a play. This is what you have to do. Those guys, they played good last year. They got us to the playoffs. They shut the naysayers up that doubted us. You reward them, and what you do is you create a sustainable identity, right? Because not only are you rewarding guys, you bringing these guys back that learned under you last year and created a defensive identity. So coming into this year, it's not like all these other teams like the Bulls who have a whole bunch of new players that got to figure out who's going to do this, who's going to do that, what type of team are we going to be. The Knicks have their team. They still got the core guys there. They're going to come out, and this is part of the thing that made me also change my thought process as to if they were going to be like a fifth or sixth seed as opposed to a fourth seed. They're going to come out and hit. I think they're going to hit the ground running because they got all these pieces in place that are still there, running the same drills, running the same defensive sets, offensive sets. They know it already. We can just go out there and play ball. So
Yeah,
I like that.
I agree. All right, Fournier and Kimba. Thoughts
Oh
on the
man.
signings and what do you think they're gonna bring for us?
I'm gonna say. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to highlight. I think we got one of the best front offices in the NBA right now. Honestly, the way they handling this stuff and the way they doing these contracts is. I think on the low. I think the NBA is watching. And I think some of these other teams are like, wow, man, Knicks are pulling off some nice deals, and everything's a team option. You know
Mm-hmm.
what? Like, come on, man, give us some credit when we deserve it.
Every trade, any trade we make, we just accumulate in an extra second round or extra first round or
You know what I
something
mean?
down the line.
Assets.
You know what I mean?
Assets. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. But in regards to Kimba and Fournier, I think that I didn't realize how good um, of a 1-2 punch this could be for us. The fact that when we got Fournier, and I mean, quick thing, one of my best friends, his name is Thomas. We call him the Prophet, and he's one of those real big like sports junkies. So he's always doing research and stuff. And so I had him on the show one time, and he said, "You know what? You forced me by being." He's not a Knicks fan, but he's like, "I love basketball." So he's like, "By being on the show, you forced me to take a look at the Knicks." And this is I'm telling you point blank what he said. After looking at the Knicks team, you know what you guys really need? Evan Fournier. And I was like, "What?" And then we wind up with Evan Fournier. It's crazy. Like that's why he's the prophet, man. He's proved prophetic again, man. He be seeing things that's coming. So when we got Evan, I was like, okay, this is a good move. This is a solid basketball player who can shoot. He plays a little defense, but I like the big thing about him is he got heart and spunk. He go up against the best player on the other team, and he won't back down. and that's
Mm-hmm.
what you want. That's a New York attitude. Um, so I like the fact that we got him. And then when we got Kimba, and then I was like, oh man, the New York boy's coming home. Well, New York man's coming home and being on his hometown team. And then he already played with Evan. And then I'll be honest with you, I didn't really pay attention to the Celtics too much last year. I was just so happy with the Knicks and what they were doing. So, but the fact of actually watching highlights and seeing how Evan and Kimba play together, I was like, oh man, this can't get any better, man. We got two good players and they play really well together. Yeah,
Yeah.
this was. I think this was a great. Like one of the. This might go down. I don't. Now I'm jumping out the window, but this might go down as one of the best off seasons for the Knicks. Very underrated, even though it's not like we signed a whole bunch of different guys, but the two that we got might make all the difference, man.
Yeah. I mean, you combine that with, rewarding success. I think you own to something. I think this
Yeah.
could be, especially as time will tell. You know what I mean? As time goes by. You know what I mean? If Fournier and Walker actually pan out, if they
Mm-hmm.
be their best selves, and it doesn't hit the chemistry negatively in any form, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean. I think sky really is the limit. I love both the signings. I think actually both of them are underrated defenders. So
Mm-hmm.
I think if there's a word for more than underrated, you know what I mean, like, because I think they actually get a bad rap defensively, when at the very least you should say these guys are average
Right.
defenders. You know what I mean? You
Right.
talk about a guy in Walker who's led the league in charges drawn. Like, that's a defensive stat. I mean,
Yeah.
do you, if you're gonna judge somebody on their defense, look at all the areas. Don't just say, "Oh, he's too small to guard anybody. He can't defend anybody." No, he could steal the ball. He could play denial defense. He could play passing lanes. He could draw charges. You know what I mean? He's not gonna block shots, but there's other aspects defensively. And then
Right.
Fournier, like you said, I think he's just a feisty guy. So he's not gonna back down. He's not
Mm-hmm.
gonna he's not gonna look like he doesn't care if a guy just dropped 6 points in a row. You know what I mean? On him. He's not gonna be the guy that the offensive guy targets. Like, all right, let me go at Fournier for 5 minutes. I could get a quick 10 points.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
I mean, so what else do you really want from a guy? He's not a slouch defensively. You know what I
No, he's
mean?
not.
We've had slouches defensively. We've seen them.
Yeah.
Like, those two guys aren't that. And even more importantly, they could probably match any point total that the opposing guy is dishing out.
Right.
You know what
That's
I
a
mean?
fact.
So they
Yeah.
could, you know what I mean? They could break even at the very least. So
I
I
mean,
love it.
I think we the only minus that you could see is Elfrid Payton as a defender has been known to be a pretty solid defender in the backcourt. However, I don't think last year he had one of his better defensive seasons. Who did, show up defensively was Reggie Bullock. He
Mm-hmm.
did have a really good, a strong defensive season for us. And we may miss that a little bit. But the fact that we're adding two 20-point scorers helps us out in a big way. And it makes more sense because we're trying to get to the next level. We were top four in all around defense, number one or two in a lot of different categories. But as far as scoring, I think we were in the bottom. We were in somewhere in the 20s and in the low ends. So this is definitely going to help us and allow us to be more competitive. And I think that one of the things that Thibodeau is going to try to preach is continuing to get that team defense going. So no matter what Evan or Kimba brings to the team offensively, they're going to buy in and they're good. They're good help defenders. And that's all you really want. You
Yeah.
don't need to have a lockdown defender at a position as long as you play really good help defense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Defensive schemes and team defense could
Yeah,
could mask a bad defender and can make a decent defenders an elite defensive team.
right.
And I agree with you with Bullock. I think in the games that he missed, I think it showed sorely what we were missing from him on the
Right,
defensive end.
right.
Um, and you may not have noticed it prior to him missing the games, but
Yep.
during that stretch where he missed, I don't know how many games it was, but excuse me, it's very noticeable. We needed him. I think a lot of pressure is going to be put on RJ this year in that aspect because I think he's going to have to take on that role. As much as I say Fournier is an adequate defender, I think the smart move would be to put that pressure on RJ. He's going to have so much less pressure on him offensively coming into the season because he's going to be the guy that teams leave open. You know what I mean? Like if they're choosing somebody, you're not leaving Mitch open on a lob threat. You're not leaving Julius Randle. You're not leaving Fournier. You're not leaving Walker. So
Right.
if they have to double team somebody, chances are they're doubling off of RJ
Yeah.
there. Maybe they testing that 40% 3-point shooting. Maybe they test they got. I mean, they if you're looking at it from especially a amazing feat with how bad he started the year shooting from 3-point line to actually reach 40%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe they question it. Hopefully, they can't do it too long because if he starts the way he finishes, he's gonna be well over. He's gonna be in the mid 40s. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So if
Yeah.
you take away that first 20 game stretch, he ended on 45, 44% from three. Um,
Yep.
that's but I still think if you're looking at it from the other team's perspective, who do you leave open if you're gonna double team somebody?
Hmm.
It's probably gonna be RJ.
Yeah.
So I think
I mean, but
he
don't. That's okay because I feel very good about RJ. RJ's gonna
oh no
light.
no
You're gonna light
I'm
him
not
up.
knocking him. I think he
Yeah.
lights it up. I think his field goal percentage shoots up this year because of that. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like I think he's gonna have to work less offensively. I don't think plays are gonna have to be ran through him as much because he's gonna be the guy that is getting these easy cuts. You know what I mean?
Right.
These
Right.
he'll get some lobs, he'll get some open threes, just because I think those other three guys with the ball in their hand, they're more of a threat. They're more fluent. They're more able to create for others. And again, I'm not knocking RJ. That's my guy. But similar to what I'm saying about the rookies, I think it lets him grow at his own pace. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
And and,
Yeah.
and he may exceed, but it's going to be a lot easier on him with less pressure. So
No, I
I think
agree.
we could have 5 20-point scorers. I really say four. I say 4 20-point scorers,
Mm-hmm.
uh, two 15-point scorers, and about three guys that's 10 or up. You know what I mean? Maybe didn't hit 15, but anywhere 10, 11, 12, 13. Like
I
I
like it.
think I think Rose could give you 20 off the bench, especially in his 24 minutes. You know what I mean? Like if he's just splitting it with Walker. I think Walker could get you 20 points. I think Fournier could get you 20 points. I think Randall will get you 20 points. I'm gonna put RJ in that 15 range, but skyrocketing his field goal percentage.
Hmm.
Hopefully as his 3-point percentage as well. Um I think Burks could get you 15.
That's a lot of scoring.
It is though. It is. I did the math the other day. I'm like, man, we're gonna score 140 something points a game. I'm like, all right, let me turn it down. Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the key to this year is going to be Mitch and RJ. I think if Mitch stays healthy and we can get between 60 and 70 games out of Mitch, I mean, I hope for more, but if we can get between 60 and 70 games out of Mitch and RJ with the fact of having Kimba there to facilitate, having Fournier there who can do his thing, and RJ doesn't have to have that pressure of being that guy, I think RJ is going to get busy, man. I see RJ getting 18, 19 points a night, which is a step up. I think he'll actually be, but the thing is, I don't know if it'll be a big enough jump in numbers, but I think he'll be in the
Most
running for
improved.
most improved. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
I agree, and I agree 100% because I think his points might not go up. I think his
Hmm.
efficiency is going to go up,
Right.
but I
Right.
don't know. I don't know if like I think his efficiency will go up in 3-point shooting, field goal percentage, maybe even free throw shooting. But if your numbers dip, I don't know how much they're gonna look at that statistically and say most
Hmm.
improved. I don't know how much they're gonna factor that in. Um, but at the same time, if he does become more of a focal point, maybe the numbers go up as well. But now we're talking about 520 point scores.
Yeah. Okay.
I know.
Uh,
I'm
yeah.
having I'm
No.
having fun with it
No.
tonight,
Listen, man. I hear you. I'm with you on that, yo. I'm with you.
man.
But listen, I mean, it's not far fetched. You know why? Because who's one of the best defensive teams in the league? The Knicks. These other teams ain't playing that well, that good of defense. They're giving up points. So it's not far. I'm not saying we're gonna score 140, but
Yeah.
maybe we could be around the 110, 115 range,
Yeah,
for
I
most
think
nights.
we're up there in points per game this year. I think we're
Mhm.
definitely top 10. I think we could push to like maybe top 7 in points per game as a team. And another beautiful thing, you don't know who's gonna lead this team in scoring. You know what I mean? Any given night, it could be a different guy leading
Right.
the league and I mean leading the team in scoring.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I really think same thing with Randall. I think his numbers are gonna drop a little bit, you know, maybe 21, 22 instead of 24 point, whatever. But I think his efficiency goes up again. No more double team at Randall. You know what I mean? Everything's
Yep.
1-on-1 or open shot because they doubling Kemba or they doubling Fournier. Um, yeah, I think everybody's efficiency should go up this year, and we're going to be one of the best, most efficient teams and one of the highest scoring teams. And I can't wait, man. I really can't wait.
No, I agree with you, man. I can't wait either. This should be a really fun year, and I just hope that the biggest thing, that's all we got to worry about is staying healthy. We stay healthy, we're gonna do some great things.
Yeah, agree. Any last words? Anything you want to touch on before you go? I definitely want you to let people know where to find you on YouTube. Shout out your partner. Definitely plug him in. Maybe we link up and do his episode, and then maybe we could do a joint podcast or something. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah,
that'd be
man.
dope.
No, that'd be great. That sounds dope. I once again I appreciate you for having me on. I just want to say, for those who may not be as fortunate, who may not know, I had a chance to meet Tony Crow at the Nothing But Knicks draft party in Atlantic City at the flagship, and it was fantastic. It was a really good night, really cool. I had a lot of fun, uh, and Tony's a really cool dude. I got to meet a lot of cool dudes there, but I'm just happy that I was able to have that Nick experience. We were stressed out that night, but it was a fun. It was fun.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. It kind of felt like that first day of the free agency as well. It was
Yeah, yeah,
similar
exactly.
vibe.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
yeah, I
But yeah,
appreciate you, bro.
no, man, no. Once again, thank you for having me. Yeah, so you can definitely find my podcast is called Still Nick Fans. We're on YouTube, and you'll also find us on Instagram or on Twitter at Still Nick Fans. My co-host's name is John. So it's the Still Nick Fans podcast with Ron and John. And, maybe you get to see him on Knicks and Bruises. And you might even see us, who knows, in the future. We're trying to work on some things, you never know. So you may see us, on your usual, places that you love to see Nick content. Maybe we'll pop up. So stay tuned.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So Knicks and Bruises, you endured the Knicks and Bruises, and you're still a Knicks fan. You
Yeah.
you see it, you see how it looks like we're gonna do some collaborations. It sounds like a match made in heaven.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. Salute to everything you're doing with your channel. Like, I let everybody know, subscribe, man. Check these guys out. They have great content and they're growing, And Knicks fans support Knicks fans. That's the motto.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Shout out to your co-host. Let him know he's welcome whenever he's free. Just reach out to me on Twitter, and we'll set something up. And I look forward to working with you again, seeing you again. Shout out to the NBK fan, nothing but Knicks and Bruises. Still Knicks fan. We out of here.
All
Your
right.
black is
Take it
time.
easy. Thank you.
Salute. You can stay there.